Planned graduation ceremonies remaining suspended at UNISA as workers affiliated to Union Nehau continue their protest over salaries. Our reporter Patricia Visagie is there and she joins us now. Patricia, a very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. What's happening there?
Well, good morning. Of course, we're here at UNISA where the protest continues, and this has affected almost all services at the institution. You'd understand that the protest actually started yesterday, and at the center of this particular protest has to do with, of course, salary-related issues. And to make us understand what exactly the issue is, I'm now joined by Lunathi Ontoti. He is the chairperson of Nehau, the UNISA branch. Thank you so much for joining us. Unpack what exactly is the main issue surrounding your protest.
No, thank you very much, Tricia and your viewers. The main issue relates to the question of salary adjustments that were effected for our colleagues who are in the academic side of the institution, and for the colleagues who are on the side of the support staff, what is known in UNISA as post-grade 5 and post-grade 6, but not affected for the colleagues from post-grade 7 to post-grade 16. So that is what has caused the current impasse between Nehau and the employer. But what we then did over time is that there is a collective agreement that we signed between ourselves and the employer, which the employer has reneged from implementing. So we were sitting here today and we are striking, we are on a picket, we are on an industrial action on the basis that we would want to see the collective agreement being effected by the employer.
When you talk about the collective agreement, take us through that detail. So there was an agreement tabled, when, how much, just the finer details of that particular agreement.
No, thank you very much. There is an agreement that we have between ourselves and the employer signed on the 16th of January. That agreement seeks to suggest that what was done for the other colleagues from post-grade 5 and post-grade 6, as well as the academics, will be done for the administrative staff and support staff from post-grade 7 to post-grade 16. Now, what it basically entails is that those colleagues who are from post-grade 10 moving up to post-grade 16 will receive a 7%, and those who are from post-grade 7 to post-grade 9 will receive a 3%. And that's basically what we agreed upon with the employer. Those are the details of the agreement.
You obviously feel that the employer did not honor that agreement. That is now why you are protesting.
The employer is committed to one thing, and it is to ensure that it does not honor the agreement. We have had a meeting today with the employer in the morning. We are not so confident and convinced that the employer is going to implement the agreement, and therefore we have taken a decision as the union that we are going to continue on the industrial action until our demands are met.
Now, another unfortunate incident took place. It started yesterday. Of course, it is also affecting students today, and that is the planned graduation ceremonies that you disrupted. And the question is, was that necessary? You know, graduation for any student is a very important day. Was it necessary to disrupt that service?
Thank you very much for that question. From our own angle, we also appreciate the fact that these students who were supposed to graduate yesterday, they graduate as a result of our own hard work. It is rather regrettable that the impasse between Nehau and the employer has led to the students suffering. But we have apologized to the students who were here yesterday. Some of them did understand our plight, but some of them, of course, were angry, and it is understood because that moment of graduation is a precious moment for many of us, especially for us who come from the working class backgrounds.
How many of UNISA's staff are part of this protest? Earlier we spoke to some, they're saying that is about 80% of staff that are protesting. Obviously, as we've already mentioned, graduations have been affected. Some of the lectures that are supposed to take place are affected, and that means overall services in general are affected. But you can get us, bring us into a better picture.
Thank you. We can confirm to you that the entire university, the services are on hold until such time that the collective agreement is honored by the employer. We can tell you that in all of our regions, there are no services that are being rendered currently. We can assure you that in the main campus, there are no services that are being rendered to students until such time that the impasse has been resolved between us and the employer.
We've been seeing a lot of, criticism leveled at UNISA in recent months, in recent years, a lot of protests as well, not just from, the union side, students as well. Is this perhaps an indictment on management? Is it an indication that, the functions of UNISA, the mandate is perhaps not executed properly?
Quite interestingly, I can tell you that it is regrettable that in the university you will always see industrial actions, be it, as you say, between students and management, or organized labor and management, or forums and management. But it then tells you the type of management that we have in the institution. We can tell you now, just in 1 year, there have been more than 10 strikes in the university. It tells you that the type of management that we have is not a management that is fit for purpose. But we as NEHAU have been writing to the University Council demanding that there should be consequence management. But beyond the erroneous decisions that are taken by management, there are financial decisions that they take that will impact the institution in the next 2 years or 3 years and might lead the institution to being bankrupt. And that is part of the reasons why also, as NEHAU was saying, financial sustainability in the institution, if it is left on the hands of management, if we can tell you now, the decision that they took in September last year, it cost the university 90 million. A 90 million that is not budgeted for, a 90 million that no one wants to account for now, but the onus is with the council to take decisions, and as NEHAU, we are calling for consequence management. Thanks.
Now, we spoke to management a little bit earlier. Obviously, we don't have all the details. It is about the meeting that took place this morning. They're confident that there will be developments in the next hour or two. Where do you stand? You were part of that meeting. Do you see any solution perhaps in an hour or two's time?
Having debated issues of labor with this management for the longest period of time, I've now come to realize, or the union will have come to realize, that the type of management that we currently have in the institution is a management that is not interested in anything or to resolve anything of the institution. Because we will tell you, Patricia, we went on a picket, we went on an industrial action. Management of the institution was nowhere to be found. A vice chancellor of the institution elected to go to Spain to deal with other issues that don't affect necessarily the institution, which is something, it tells you that the priorities are not set in the institution, but where we are seated, our appreciation is that the meeting of today, we are not so confident if it is going to assist us with anything. But yes, proposals were made, but now we are waiting for management to consolidate the proposals that they made. But knowing them, we are not so confident, but our doors are open. We're open for engagement. Last night we had a meeting also. We're continuously having meetings with management just to see how do we resolve the current impasse.
All right, thank you. We'll have to leave it at there. Of course, there we have Lunati Hontoti. He is NEHAU's chairperson, the UNISA branch, just bringing us into speed about what is happening here. Of course, the protests here at UNISA. You can see some of the workers standing around, sitting around here. Many of them are actually in the hall. They're sitting there waiting to be addressed by the union leaders, and that, of course, will pave the way forward. But we just heard here from, of course, Mr. Ondoti saying that they have no confidence that a solution will be tabled anytime soon. This, as UNISA management, on the other hand, feel that by, of course, the end of today, and they're saying perhaps in the next 2 hours, we might have a breakthrough in, of course, the marathon discussions that they've been having since yesterday with the union. But unfortunately, so while they're having the discussions, services at the institution have come to a complete standstill, as of course over 80% of the workers have joined this industrial action. We'll continue to monitor things on the ground and, of course, track whatever the solution might be, if there is an agreement that comes out of this impasse, and bring that to our viewers. Until then, it is back to studio.
All right, Patricia, thank you so much for joining us. We do appreciate your time. Patricia Visagie there, our reporter, and she was in conversation with one of the union leaders of NEHAU, and we'll try to get a word from UNISA, and later on the show we'll be speaking to UNISA spokesperson Victor Dlamini on on the progress regarding the negotiations between the university management and the workers.